everyone, and welcome. My name is Devorah Sisso, and tonight we are doing Light of the Festival. So we're doing, what is the light behind these days of Sefirat HaOmer, and what is the meaning of these days of Sefirat HaOmer? So there's so many ways to talk about Sefirat HaOmer, and I'm sure we're hearing a lot of different angles tonight from different speakers and different authors and amazing creatives. But I wanted to specifically dive right into this idea of 24,000 Talmidei Chachamim, the students of Rabbi Akiva, dying. These people were massive Talmidei Chachamim. They learned a tremendous amount of Torah. Like everything that we're taught to do to have a good life, they did. Right? They did Torah, they did mitzvos, they kept Shabbos, they kept everything, b'dikdukim, like down to the pratim, down to the details of everything that it says in the Torah. And then it says that they all died. Every single one of them, besides for 5 students of Rabbi Akiva, they all died. And the reason that it gives is because shelo nagu kavod ze b'ze, is because they couldn't respect each other. They didn't respect each other. They didn't respect one another. And that's why all of them died, and they went down with their Torah and their mitzvos and their religiosity and everything that they were bringing into the world, all the light that they were bringing into the world, they went down because of the fact that they couldn't respect one another. So I've learned this, and I've been teaching this for many, many years. And as I get older, I feel it and I see it in so many different angles. And I want to bring in a few different sources today. We're going to be talking about from the Baal Shem Tov, the Best. We're going to bring in Rabbi Nachman. We're going to bring in different sources that speak about this concept. But before we go into why and how this happened, how is it possible for a person of such magnitude, of such light, of such tremendous scale of spirituality, not to respect another person? Like, isn't that contradictory to everything that they're doing, to everything that they're learning, to everything that they're teaching? Isn't that contradictory to what the Torah teaches us, to what God wants from us? How is it possible that these people were so great in one way and they so missed the point in another way? And also, how is it possible that God would kill them, right? That He would take them out of this world completely, all thousands and thousands of them. Now it says that every single day of Sefirat HaOmer, thousands of them were dying. It was 24,000 Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva, 24,000 students in 33 days died. So can we do the math there? How many thousands died in a day? It's crazy, right? And they stopped on Lag BaOmer. They stopped dying on Lag BaOmer on the 33rd day of Lag BaOmer, of Sefirat HaOmer. And that's why we're also not allowed to get married and have all these festivities, listen to music and all these things, because out of respect for them, right? They couldn't respect one another, but for us, out of respect for their light being snuffed out of this world, we respect them and we mourn them. We mourn their lives, we mourn their death, and we mourn what they missed. And I want to talk about this a little bit from a different kind of angle. The Baal Shem Tov, the Best, he says, he brings down in a whole different teaching. But there's a rule of thumb in spirituality. And the rule of thumb in spirituality, it says, Gavoa me'al gavoa shomer. He says that a higher energy force field always rules over the lower energy force field. Now he was specifically speaking about the nefesh and the guf, the soul of the person and the person's body, right? We know that we are a soul in a body. We know that this vehicle that we have in this world in order to express our soul in this world is this physical body. We understand that the body has its own language and the soul has its own language. We know that. And we also know that when the source is in a good place, then the body's in a good place. The Baal Shem Tov says that when you understand that your soul in essence is you, and your body is secondary to you, then you understand that the main energy field, your main source of energy is you, and you is your soul. You is that part of you, okay? The part of me that's speaking to you right now is My soul, the part of you that's speaking to you right now, is the energy within me. It's not my body. It's not my veins. It's not my muscles. It's not my sinews. It's not my ligaments. It's not my organs. It's the soul in me that's speaking to you right now, right? That's the part of us that craves love, that craves connection, that craves to procreate, that craves to do something in this world and make a dent in this world and impact the world. Or progress, where achievements that I've had till now were awesome, but I don't stop there just because I achieved whatever I achieved till now. I want more. I crave more, right? Where is that craving coming from? Is it just the body? Can a person be kept alive with their heart pumping and their brain there and them not there? Their consciousness not there? Yeah. So how is it possible that a person's body is alive and they are not there? They're not awake. What gives the person their chiyas? What gives the person that we're going to use this word a few times over this next half hour, this idea of chiyas? What is this idea of chiyas, which is the life energy? Where do I get this life energy from? Because a lot of times, everyone all the time is searching and craving this energy of life, to feel alive, to be alive, to feel happy. We crave it. And when we have down days and hard days and harsh days and difficult days and days where we feel numb or we feel just unhappy, depressed, can't get out of bed, we don't like those days. We don't like the way that feels. We don't enjoy that. We crave up. We crave creativity. We crave love. We crave connection. We crave interconnection. We crave to progress. We crave to achieve, to be successful. We crave to feel alive. And when you feel alive, you feel alive. And that's all we really crave, and that's what we really want. So the question is that if the body can be kept alive, by machines, right? And the person is alive, all their organs are working, everything is working, but their consciousness is not there, meaning they're not awake. They're in a coma, or they're not awake, right? And we pray for them. We want them to come back. We want them to wake up, right? Because even though the body is there and the body is sort of healthy in whatever way it is, and the organs are functioning, the person is the source. The person is the soul. The person is the life energy, the chiyas. So the Baal Shem Tov says like this, and follow me here because it gets a little complicated, but he says, Gavoah ma'al gavoah shomer, which means that if a person literally eats rusty nails, he writes this, if a person eats rusty nails, but their life source, their energy source is alive and is happy and is in a good place, they can eat rusty nails, they can eat hamburgers from morning to night, they can eat fast food, they can not exercise, and they will live a long and healthy life. He says, and vice versa, is not true, which means that if a person now works on their health, exercises, drinks green juices, does, yoga all day, goes to sleep early, drinks only purified water and triple osmosis and vitamins and does all that, and their nefesh and their life source and their soul and their main, where they get all of where their chiyas comes from, who they really are, that part of them is sad or negative or doesn't feel love, then that person's longevity will be cut short. Meaning, he says, Gavoah ma'al gavoah shomer, there's a rule of thumb in spirituality that the higher energy field will always impact the lower energy field. And the lower energy field is the body. And the higher energy field is you. Is the you inside of this thing. This called the thing called your body. It's the you inside. So if the you inside, which is the source of yourself, which is your soul, which is, again, like we said before, which is the part of you that wants and craves and dreams and longs, and that part of you that craves connection and love and to succeed and to progress, and that's the part of you that is you, that's your personality, that's who you are really in essence. You're not your eyeballs or your skull or your teeth. That's your body. It's not who you are. If that part of you is being nourished, if that part of you is being fed, whether you're exercising 4 times a week or twice a week or no times a week, but you are a happy person. Like today, my son and I were in the supermarket in the morning, and there was this guy that was with his cart, and he was just whistling this song that we all know here in Israel. And he was whistling, and he had a smile on his face, and he was throwing things into his cart. And then as we passed by him, my son continued the song. He continued whistling, and it was so, his energy was so light. It was so nice. It was such a nice energy, right? And you can we feel people's energies, right? You can feel someone's energy when you're in the same house or in the same space as someone. You can feel if their energy is harsh or down or negative. You can feel if their energy is light and just a nice energy there in the room, the happy energy, right? And really, where does that energy come from? It comes from their chiyas. It comes from their life source. It comes from their soul. So the Baal Shem Tov is explaining something very, very, very insanely crucial for us in our life. And we're gonna tie it all back to the students of Rabbi Akiva, and then eventually tie it all back to ourselves and during this time of Sefirat HaOmer. Baal Shem Tov says that Gavoa Ma Gavoa means that worry about your soul's energy first. Now, we know that exercising adds to that. We know that when you exercise, you feel better, right? Because we have certain hormones that are released in our brain, and we feel better. So when we feel better, we emanate better, and we crave more, and we do more, and we're able to get more of that life source. We're able to touch more of that of ourselves. But he says that if we put all our eggs in one basket, and we put all our eggs in treating our body and worrying about our body and making sure our body gets everything and being really OCD, let's say, okay, really focused, hyper focused on what we put into our mouths or when we go to sleep or whatever, and that's where we're focused. That's where our focus is. And on the inside, we're kind of dumbed down or unhappy or strict with ourselves or have this kind of energy. Then it's going to really impact our life, how long we live. There's another study that came out a few years ago that I saw that said that people that have love in their life, that have love and connections and intimacy in their life, but like a real intimacy and a real love in their life, they end up living way longer than people that don't. I forgot the percentages exactly, but way longer than people that don't, right? Because connections, human connection, human relationships, that allows a person, that gives the person their neshama, their soul, a connectivity, and that feeling love is a spiritual force. So when we have spirituality, when we're fed on a spiritual level, then physically we live longer. So let's hear something else now. So the students of Rabbi Akiva were learning a lot of Torah, and they were doing a lot of mitzvos, and at the same time they were dying. What happens to us when, God forbid, our soul dies slowly? And there are many different things in life that contribute to that, okay? There are things in life that contribute to our soul dying. And what happens? We can be alive, we can be well, we can be physically well, and our soul is dying, okay? Now I want to talk about the soul dying a second, and then I want to talk about the soul living. Because I think that we grew up thinking, and this is the Baal Sulam, we grew up thinking that if I give to myself, and if I worry about myself, and if I make sure that I have a college degree, and I have a good job, and I have my bills paid, and I take care of myself first, then I'll be happy. And then I'm doing the right thing when I do that way, when I live that way. And the Torah, and the Baal Sulam specifically has his whole Torah, the Ashlag, he speaks all about this idea of we were taught wrong. We were taught wrong because the whole expression of ourselves, where we get our life energy from, is from this action of giving. So it's not just giving as in, let me just be this lean, mean giving machine, and wherever I go, let me just say yes to everyone I go, to everyone I meet and wherever I go. That's not the way it's meant to be learned. It's much, much deeper than that. He says, the Baal Sulam says, that when I understand that literally my air, okay, in my soul, which is the part of me that keeps me alive, which is the part of me that keeps me awake, which is the part of me that if I nurture it, and if I give it what it needs, I will live a very long life, a very happy life, a very fulfilled life, a very calm life. If I feed the part of me that's really me, and not the part of me that's not really me, he says, if I know what the food for that is, if I know what the nourishment for that is, then I figured out life. I figured it out. I get how this works. He says that Baal Shalom says that in essence, our souls, all of our souls are interconnected. It's one big spiral of light. Our souls are interconnected. And if I understand in my life that my well-being is dependent on you, my well-being is dependent on how well you're doing, even if it's just a piece of you or some part of you in your life. But I understand that taking responsibility for something that has to do with you, if I understand that that's going to nourish me, that my giving is way more selfish than my taking, then he says that we figured out the whole recipe for a happy life. That's it. That's where we get our chiyas from. That's where we get our longevity from. That's where we get our life source from. We get our life source from understanding that if I'm focused on me, only me, and if someone takes from my plate, eats from my plate, if someone takes money from me, if someone takes my time, if I give too much of myself to another person or a little bit of myself, or if I share something, or if he takes my parking spot, or whatever it is, that's not right, and I have to fight for myself, and I have to fight for my rights, and I have to fight for me. He says we missed out everything. We missed everything because in essence we're not really me and you and him and her. We're one force. We are one big circle of light. That's in essence, if we pull back the curtain of reality and we see what's going on behind the curtain of reality, that's what's happening. That when I feed you, I'm feeding myself. I don't have air in my soul. If I can walk past someone and not see them on any level, okay, and not give to them in some way, the act of giving to them, even if it's 1 shekel, the act of giving to them, even if it's for 1 minute, the act of giving to them allows my soul to breathe. And that breath gives me my life source, connects me to my life source. In essence, gives me my happiness. In essence, I need you to live. I need you, we need each other in this world to really live, because again, what is life? Look at the Talmudim of Rabbi Akiva. They had everything. They learned Torah. They did mitzvos. They had homes, families. They were the students of Rabbi Akiva. They were revered and honored. And what happened to them? They didn't have life. Their neshama left them, and then their body died. How does the neshama leave the body? How do I get more soul in my body and less soul, God forbid, in my body? Kabbalah teaches us that our neshama is here. Our neshama, parts of our neshama is in our body, and parts of our neshama are outside of our body. It's called ishtalshalos. There's a way to be able to receive more soul into our lives. Meaning, the more I connect to my soul, which is not all in my body, the more I climb the rungs of my neshama, the more I will have this clear vision of reality. And the less I climb the rungs of my soul, the more tzimtzum I'm going to have. The less I'm going to understand, the less I'm going to see, the less vision I have of what's real, what's not, what's true, what's not, how to navigate life. Now, when you see a person that is betzimtzum, when you see a person that's, this is mine, or unhappy, or negative, right? So Rabbi Nachman teaches us that a bigger Chazal say, and Rabbi Nachman comments on this, Chazal say that he says, whoever is bigger than his friend, it has to be that you're going to see a bigger Yetzer Hara there. There's going to be a very big Yetzer Hara for a person if his soul is great. If a person's soul is not so great, then he could be like a great person. You know, he could just like manage life, go to work, 9 to 5, do his thing, not get down so much, not feel so much, not empathize so much, just like, you know, live, and life's cool, and it goes. And yeah, some hard days, but basically, it's all good. But he says that the more the Yetzer Hara attacks the person, the more you know that this person has a very, 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 very strong voltage and potential. When I say voltage, I mean strong field of energy around them. And now the Yetzer Hara The darkness only attacks the greatest light. The more dark will attack the more light. The more light that there is, the more it will attract higher forces of darkness. So if you see a person that's in the dark, okay, you see a person that's constantly being beat up by the Yetzer Hara. This is Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Natan. Constantly being beat up by the Yetzer Hara, constantly falling, constantly wanting to stand by their New Year's resolution but not being able to. Constantly, trying to quit smoking and going back. Constantly trying to get up for davening and messing up. Constantly this struggle, 24/7 struggle in their life. You have to know that this person's energy field, their spiritual voltage is so high that they are constantly being attacked. The Yetzer Hara doesn't bother people that don't have such a high voltage. That's the truth. That's the reality. If you're greater than your friend, meaning if you have a higher spiritual voltage, you have to know that you will be attacked by the dark forces. So why is this important to understand? It's important to understand because he teaches like this. The students of Rabbi Akiva, the 24,000 students that died, what were they missing in essence? What does Chazal tell us? Chazal tells us that they were missing this ability to respect. Now, we know that a person, it says, Ve'afta l'recha kamocha, right? You have to love your fellow like yourself. Now, we know when you learn that deeply, you understand that you can only give what you have. You can't give what you don't have, right? If you come to me and you need milk and I don't have any, I can want to give it to you all I want and I could be dying to give it to you because I know how much you need it and I want to give you, but I don't have any. So if you don't have what to give, you can't give it. You can't love another person if you don't love yourself. You can't really love if you don't know what love is. And when it says that they didn't respect one another, what does that on a deeper level mean for us when we're learning this and learning from them? Because they were doing everything right. They were doing everything right. But what were they missing? They were missing this respect that they didn't have for themselves. Whew, that's deep. Because if you're learning Torah from day to night and you go into the mikvah and you're doing all the mitzvos and you're doing all, how do you not have respect for yourself? So the Baal Sulam teaches us something incredible. And he says like this. I'm not going to quote the Baal Sulam right now. I'm going to leave it for after. Actually, I'm getting this from science. Okay, I'm bringing in a little science here. It says that when a person rubs up against a tree, then they get electrons from the tree. Studies have shown that if you bring puppies and kittens to nursing homes, the patients there, they end up showing much better numbers on their blood tests. They end up, why? Because they receive electrons from these animals. Now there are certain things that pull electrons away, and there are certain things that give electrons to us, okay, on a physical level. On a physical level, when I hug a tree or walk barefoot on the ground, then I am receiving electrons. And that on a physical level gives me energy. It gives me energy. Wind, when I have a lot of wind in my face, that pulls electrons from me. That's why you can get, after you go on a speedboat, let's say, right? You come back and you feel like, you're just exhausted. Why? Because your electron is being sucked out of you. And he says, I don't remember exactly which study I brought this in from. I have a few studies here. I'm just going to give another one. He says another thing is that when you enjoy, let's say, dancing or exercising, then that gives you a sense of life, that gives you electrons, that you get it from, you're generating them. And the opposite is true as well. When you're just sitting and not doing all these things and not receiving from the people around you, not receiving from something that you're hugging, not receiving, then you feel drained. So that's on a physical level. On a physical level, literally, if you walk barefoot on the ground, you will feel better. You will feel better. If you hug a dog, if you like dogs, a cute one, you'll feel better. Why? Because physically you're receiving from this thing. Your body is getting stronger. On a spiritual level, there are certain things that when we do them, they either pull from us or they give to us. And I want to mention just a few. Okay, just a few things that the Torah brings in. It says machloket. What is machloket? Machloket is when two people are at odds, or people are fighting. This one says you owe me money, and this one says I don't owe you money. And then they start fighting. Or these two people get divorced and they fight, right? Or family members, okay? And there's a fight. The energy that's created from this fight is called machloket. And the Zohar brings down, what is machloket on a deeper level? It's chelek met. It creates death in these people. What does it mean that it's creating death in the people? It's machloket kills the soul. It pulls away pieces of the soul. That's why I know people that literally have bank accounts. They're called Shalom peace accounts, Shalom bank accounts, where we'll disagree on money. Like, you think I owe you money, I think you owe me money, whatever. And in order to avoid machlokas, they'll just pull from this account, that's their peace account, their Shalom bank account, and they'll give it to the person, even if they're wrong and they know they're right or whatever it is. I know I don't owe you money, I know it never happened, I know whatever. I'll pull from there in order to avoid this energy called machloket. Why? Because it's brought down that it's chelek met. It kills parts of the soul. It's just like when the electrons get pulled out from the body and you just feel winded, you just feel exhausted. It happens to the soul when a person has machlokas. Another example of what gives life, when a person gives tzedakah tatil mimavet. What is tzedakah tatil mimavet? The act of giving money to another person adds life to your life. How do you add life to your life? By giving money? By giving money to another person, you're adding life to them. You're giving them a sense of life. I'm free. I can go to the supermarket. I can go what I want for Chag. I'm able to move more swiftly. It's easier to live. I can get something. I can pay that bill. You're giving them a sense of life. When you give someone else a sense of life, you receive life. You add pieces to that part of your soul. And your soul gets more alive. You feel that chias, that life energy. Another example, kibbut avayim. It says kibbut avayim does what? Arichut yamim. You have more life to you. You get more life. You get more pieces of life when you respect your mother and father. When you are actively respecting your parents, even if you don't live with them, you call them once, twice a week, or even more than that. You respect them. You give them this sense of, I respect you, I see you, I care for you, how are you? You give them time of day. What happens to you is that you add life to your soul, to your entity, to who you are. And that feeling of life, like we said in the beginning, that's not something that's like either you're alive or dead. It's a feeling that we crave 24/7. As human beings, we're always craving that feeling of feeling more alive. Feeling more happy. We're craving happiness. We try to make more money because we think that's going to give us happiness. We want to get more love because it's going to give us happiness. We want to have children because it's going to give us happiness. We wake up in the morning and go to work because it's going to give us happiness. So everything that we do, we try to get to this place of happiness. And the Torah explains to us very, very clearly, very, very simply. The language of the body is different than the language of the soul. And you are your soul. So if you're going to go according to the language of the language of the body is pirud. The language of the body is, let me worry about me. I need my money. I need my rest. I need my food. Don't take from me. Don't come to me. Don't call me. Don't ask me for favors. Okay, that's the language of the body. Me. That's the body. The body worries about itself. The body wants to pleasure itself. The body wants to sit and watch. The body doesn't want to go out for exercising. The body doesn't want to drink more water. The body wants to smoke cigarettes. The body wants pleasure, and the body wants self. And what we're learning here, what the Beda is teaching us, the Baal Sulam is teaching us, and all these studies are teaching us, it's clearly explaining to us, there are two opposite languages here. There's the language of the soul and the language of the body. The language of the soul is in essence you. So all of this feeling of climbing this ladder to get to happiness and to get to success and to get to this rush, this feeling that I'm longing for, to feel loved, to feel connected, to feel successful, to feel like I'm making money, all of those things that I'm longing for, in essence, they come from, what we're trying to aim at, what we're trying to get at, is the source, this soul energy. And when we grab things in this world and we try to grab more and have more, that's the body's language that's really lying to us. Because how many people do we know that have everything and have nothing? How many people do we know that have everything and are so miserable and alone and suicidal? So many. So many. So in essence, what we're understanding here is something very, very crucial, and what the Torah brings us to us. And the last example I want to give is also Lashon Hara. Lashon Hara is that Chaim ve'amavet be'ad halashon. That your life and your death, and a person's life and death are literally in the hands of their tongue. The tongue, this tongue right here, that our tongue is responsible for how much more of this life energy we're going to absorb, or God forbid, how much we're going to give away. And how does that work? Because the tongue has the ability to create more life, or God forbid, detach us from life. And the students of Rabbi Akiva, what they did was they learned a lot of Torah. And Torah definitely gives life. But we know that the Torah is hora'ah. It's milashon hora'ah, milashon chinuch. It's there to train us. It's a training ground for how to get through this obstacle course. For how to really understand what's up in this world. To really get, so if I'm selfish and I'm only worrying about myself and I have my penthouse apartment and I have all my designer name brand stuff and I have my cool car and I get all this attention and I have all this money and that's not necessarily really going to give me my chiyas, and where I drink from this fountain of life, where I drink from this fountain that's going to give me my life source. It's from the other, it's a whole other direction of if I give to you, if I love you, if I make sure you are good, then what happens to me is I receive there. If I give to my parents and if I give tzedakah, or God forbid, if I fight with you and I speak about you and I am in machlokas with you, then different energies happen there, or either cuts me off from my life or brings me to the fountain of life. And so a lot of people are drinking from the fountain of salt water. You think that this is what's going to make them, nourish them, and it makes them thirstier and thirstier and thirstier and thirstier, and they just don't get it. What am I doing wrong? And in essence, if they go to the fountain of life, and the Baal Sulam says, Sheli Shelcha, Sheli Shelcha, which means that the more I understand that my air, my life source, my nutrition, comes from you being good and how I can help you and how I see you and how I can make that phone call, or how I can make that phone call for somebody that's not paying me, I'm not gaining anything from this. I'm doing this favor for them. In essence, I'm doing this favor for my soul, I'm drinking from the fountain of life source. That's where I get that feeling that I crave my whole life. That I try to get from designer name brand, or I try to get from going to that bar or hanging out with those people or whatever it is, and it never really hits the spot. It never really hits the spot. Or that drug or that party or whatever, all that money never really hits the spot. Because we are souls. And we're in a body in this world. But we are souls. And our ultimate sense of life will come from our connection to one another, because our connection to one another is Achadus Hashem. We are part of one being. We are one being. And if I separate myself and I say I'm only worrying about self, what's going to end up happening to me is that I detach myself. I disconnect myself from this whole being of Achadus Hashem. I disconnect myself from this oneness of Hashem. And when I'm disconnected, God forbid, from the oneness of Hashem, I feel, no matter how much I have in my bank account, no matter how good I look, and no matter what's going on in my life, I feel, I don't feel good. And then I try to reach for things that maybe in the moment make me feel a little bit better, but in essence, don't fill that void. And people end up committing suicide and killing themselves and doing all these different things and slowly killing themselves because they just constantly feel that detachment from source. And when I say from source, I don't just mean him, because me, you, him, her, and God, and all of us are one. So the more I attach myself to these people, and the more I cling to these things, and the more I make myself a part of this community, and a part of giving to these people, and I understand that giving to them is giving to me, and congealing, and becoming one, that's where I'm getting my life energy and my source energy. Then I figured out life. And what happened with the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva is that they were worrying about their own olam haba. And they were worrying about their own mitzvahs. And they were worrying about their own learning. And when someone got in their way, they didn't see that someone as a way of catapulting themselves to the next level. They didn't see that as an opportunity of someone there that needs them, or that's taking away from their time, or that's distracting them, or that's asking them for a favor, as an opportunity to jump to the next level. They saw that as a distraction from where they thought that they had to go. And that's why we have 24,000 students dying in 33 days. That's a lot of people dying in 33 days. It's a lot of people dying. And the reason that Hashem brought down this magefa, this makkah, and that we're still commemorating it today, and that we're still observing it today, and that we're still mourning it today, is because this concept of me being on my path in life, and this is where I think I gotta go, and this is what I think I gotta do, and no matter how religious I am, me being on this path of life, if someone comes on my path, Hashem sends these people to your life. Someone stops you on your way to an important meeting, or someone asks you for something, right? That is Hashem's way of guiding you in your life, of guiding us in our life. And when I say to God, I have to worry about me, thank you so much, but please remove these people that are distracting me in my life, distracting my parents, they're so annoying, my grandparents, my family members sitting at this dinner with my family and having to whatever it may be, or going out of my way for someone, or having to drop someone off on the other side of town, or picking someone up from the airport, or giving out of my money that I work so hard for somebody I don't even know, or I have enough on my plate. I have enough on my plate to worry about. I don't need to worry about other people. So no buba. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. The reason that they all died, and the reason that their Torah went down with them, is because they missed the point. The point is not to achieve and accomplish and get to where I think I need to get to. The point is to achieve and accomplish. But in order to really achieve and accomplish, I need you and you need me. And I need my neighbor and my neighbor needs me. I just want to give one last thing, and before I end, that I just moved into a new apartment yesterday. And I had 3 days notice. It was really, really quick, the whole thing. And I had 3 days notice. And so I had to pack in 3 days. And it was right after Pesach. And I made Pesach, and I made Leil Seder, and it was a really, we all know how intense Pesach can be. And then right after Pesach, I had to open all my closets again, and then pull everything out again and start packing. And it was really overwhelming. It was really, really overwhelming. I was keeping myself calm. I got boxes. I started packing, and I put out a message. On a group, and I said, hey guys, I need some help. I'm packing, and I'm doing it alone, and I could really use people's help. I'll get you pizza. We'll have a pizza party. If you could just come over and pack one box, it's just such a big help. And from this whole group of so many people, one person showed up. And this one person and myself worked for 3 hours, and we did my entire kitchen. I had 3 days to pack up my entire house and move it. And that one person coming over made the difference between me moving and me not moving. So before we underestimate our ability to help someone, or what's my 1 hour a week of, going to volunteer or helping someone move, or packing a box for someone, or calling my parents, or what's that going to do? What that does is so tremendous. Literally, I went to sleep that night with tears of joy and thanking God so much for this one person that came over. Because literally without her, besides for the fact that she lifted my spirits and she was there with me, and it was so nice to work with another person, without her, I probably would have had a few panic attacks. It was really intense to do all of that alone. She helped me so much. She herself doesn't really comprehend what a few boxes of her doing, what it did for me. So don't underestimate your efforts. Don't underestimate what you can do for somebody else. And don't underestimate what doing for someone else will eventually do for you. Thank you so much for joining and for watching. And B'ezrat Hashem, may we have many, many, many reasons to celebrate within the Jewish people, because every single one of us, every single Jew in this world is dynamite, it's fire, and all we have to do is light each other up, because we're all ready to be lit. And thank you to Erez for lighting us all up and for bringing us all together and for doing this incredible festival of lights. Have a good night.